Alright, let's be honest. If you clicked on this video, chances are you feel like you suck at time management. Maybe your to-do list is so long it looks like a grocery receipt after a Costco run. You know, the kind that rolls out like a medieval scroll and makes the cashier do a double take. Or maybe you're trapped in the classic cycle of procrastination. You swear up and down that tomorrow is the day I finally get my life together. But then tomorrow arrives, and instead of tackling your tasks, you somehow find yourself 3 hours deep into a random documentary about the secret social lives of penguins. Which, by the way, is fascinating, but probably not what you meant to accomplish today. And listen, we've all been there. Seriously, you are not alone in this. You're not lazy. You're not broken. And you're definitely not doomed to a lifetime of unfinished projects, missed deadlines, and that vague, constant feeling of, I should probably be doing something right now. But here's the thing. Time management is simple, actually. It's not this ultra-complicated mystical skill that only the most disciplined Type A, 5 a.m. waking, bullet journaling productivity wizards have mastered. People make it sound way harder than it is. They talk about it like you need some kind of PhD in productivity science, which, to be clear, is not a real thing, but absolutely should be, just to figure out how to organize your day. You don't. You don't need a 27-step morning routine. You don't need to track every minute of your life like you're running an Olympic training program. You don't need to give up your Netflix binges, your naps, or your social life just to be good at managing your time. All you really need? A few straightforward mindset shifts, tiny changes in how you approach your time that make an enormous difference. And the best part? They're easy. Once you get it, it just clicks. And suddenly, you're not drowning in tasks anymore. You're in control. You're doing what actually matters. You're finishing things without feeling exhausted all the time. So let's break it down. No fluff, no complicated systems, no color-coded planners that look like they require an engineering degree. Just real, practical, why didn't I think of that? Solutions that you can start using today. Let me tell you a quick story. Back in college, I was the absolute worst at managing my time. Like Hall of Fame level bad. I'd sit down with every intention of being productive, open my laptop, and within minutes, boom. Distraction. Suddenly, I was in the middle of a YouTube deep dive on whether or not dinosaurs had feathers. Spoiler, some of them did, and they probably looked hilarious. You're welcome. Deadlines. I treated them more like suggestions, ones that I only took seriously once the crippling fear of failure kicked in. My work routine was essentially, first, ignore the assignment for weeks. Second, panic the night before. Third, magically become the most focused person on the planet for exactly 5 hours. Fourth, submit the assignment at 11:59 p.m. and swear I'd never procrastinate again. Fifth, repeat the process. And I convinced myself this was just who I was, that I was just naturally bad at managing time, that my brain was wired for last-minute adrenaline-fueled productivity. But in reality, I was just overcomplicating everything. I thought time management meant becoming a different person. I thought it meant forcing myself to wake up early, using 5 different planners, and scheduling every single minute of my day down to 3:07 p.m., drink water. Spoiler alert, that didn't work. Because the more I tried to force myself into an unrealistic, overly structured system, the more I resisted it. The problem wasn't that I was bad at time management. The problem was that I was making it way harder than it needed to be. Here's where everything changed for me. I stopped managing my time, and I started managing my energy. Because let's be real, time is fixed. You get 24 hours in a day. That's it. No more, no less. It doesn't matter if you're busy, tired, or feeling like a rock star. Your clock is ticking, and you can't stop it. But you know what's way more flexible? Your energy levels. Think about it for a second. Have you ever had one of those days where you're just crushing it? You sit down to tackle a task, and out of nowhere you feel this burst of motivation. You know, the kind where you start typing an email or writing a report and suddenly find yourself finishing something that normally takes you 3 hours in, like 20 minutes. Yeah. That's energy management at work. When your energy is aligned with your tasks, it's like everything just falls into place. But here's the kicker. You can control that. The trick isn't trying to cram all your tasks into the exact same time slots every day and expecting the magic to happen. The real secret? You need to figure out when you naturally have the most energy and leverage that for your benefit. Let's get real for a second. Have you ever tried to do something super mentally taxing, like, I don't know, studying for a test or writing a report, when you're totally wiped out? It's like trying to drive a car with no gas. You just ain't going anywhere. That's because our energy fluctuates throughout the day, and if you're trying to tackle difficult tasks when your energy is low, you're making it harder on yourself. But the cool part is, you can tap into that natural rhythm. And trust me, once I realized this, time management felt effortless. Instead of looking at my to-do list and forcing myself to work on whatever the planner told me to do, I started asking myself, when do I naturally have the most energy? What tasks feel easy when I do them at the right time? And when I asked myself those simple questions, everything shifted. Suddenly, I wasn't struggling to stay awake through long study sessions or trying to push through emails when I could barely keep my eyes open. I was doing the right tasks at the right times, when I was actually energized. It was like this huge light bulb moment. I realized I could be strategic with my energy. When I noticed that I was most productive in the morning, I started saving my deep work. You know, the tasks that require focus and brain power, for when my mind was fresh. On the flip side, I left the more routine tasks, like answering emails or organizing my schedule, for when I had less energy but still needed to check things off. The key takeaway? Time is fixed, but energy is flexible. And if you learn to manage your energy, time management becomes almost effortless. You don't need to force yourself into a rigid routine that doesn't fit your natural rhythm. Instead, you just work with how you're wired, and that makes a world of difference. Now, if you're like, okay, cool, but how do I actually make this work? Let me give you the simplest, laziest productivity trick that completely changed my life. Do the thing that takes the least effort first. Wait, what? Not the most important thing, not the hardest thing, the easiest thing. I know, you're probably thinking, but isn't that counterintuitive? Shouldn't we tackle the big tasks first? The ones that matter the most? The ones that are so intimidating, they make you want to curl up into a ball and cry? Here's the thing. Nope. That's actually the last thing you want to do. Because guess what happens when you start with the hardest, most overwhelming task? Your brain goes into full-on shutdown mode. It sees that mountain of a to-do list, starts panicking, and before you know it, you're scrolling through Instagram at 2 a.m., regretting every decision you've ever made. But when you start with the easiest thing, that's when the magic happens. And I'm talking about true momentum. You ever notice how the hardest part of working out isn't actually the workout itself? Nope. It's literally just putting on your sneakers and getting yourself out the door. You tell yourself, ugh, I don't want to do this. But then, boom, you get there. And once you're at the gym, you realize, hey, this isn't so bad. In fact, I feel pretty good right now. And before you know it, you've completed the whole workout. It's the same thing with pretty much any task. Let's say you've got a messy room. The hardest part? Getting started. You look at the mess and immediately feel like you're about to face a natural disaster in the form of laundry. But what happens when you pick one corner of your room and just start there? You suddenly feel like Marie Kondo herself, and you're folding clothes like you've just discovered your true calling in life. One small step is all it takes to snowball into full productivity mode. That's how our brains work, folks. We're designed to take the path of least resistance. And if we can make that first step feel easy enough, we're more likely to keep going. So instead of staring at that massive to-do list, feeling overwhelmed and paralyzed, just pick the thing that requires the least effort and do that first. It could be something as small as replying to one email, or making your bed, or writing 2 sentences of your assignment. Seriously, it doesn't have to be much. The key is just getting the ball rolling, and once you start moving, even in the smallest way, it's 100 times easier to keep going. You know that feeling when you're in the middle of something, and suddenly you've got a little more energy, a little more focus, and the tasks just don't feel as heavy anymore? That's momentum. You've tricked your brain into thinking, oh hey, we're doing this now, let's just keep going. Before you know it, you've crossed off half your to-do list, and you didn't even realize how you got there. It's like you hacked your own brain into productivity. Genius, right? Now I know what you're thinking. But won't this make me lazy? Won't I just do the easy stuff all day and never tackle the big tasks? Here's the thing. Once you get the momentum going, it's way easier to tackle the bigger tasks too. It's all about breaking the inertia. When you've started small and you feel like you've already done something productive, suddenly, the rest of the day doesn't seem quite as daunting. You'll have the energy to keep going because you've already proved to yourself that you can. Trust me on this, it works. And it's honestly one of the laziest, most effective productivity hacks you'll ever find. No need to be a superhero. You don't need to be super disciplined or a time management guru. Just do the easy stuff first and let your momentum carry you the rest of the way. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Okay, but what about the days when I feel like I have no time at all? First of all, let me hit you with some tough love. You do have time. You just lose time without realizing it. Be honest, how many times have you said, I'll just check Instagram for a second? And then suddenly it's 47 minutes later and you're deep in someone's vacation photos from 2017. Yeah, time doesn't just disappear, it gets eaten up by all the tiny, sneaky distractions that feel harmless in the moment. So here's how to fix it. Set mini deadlines for everything. Not just, I'll work on this project today. No, be specific. I'll finish the first draft before lunch. I'll reply to emails before my next coffee break. I'll scroll TikTok, but only for 10 minutes, and then I'm done. Your brain needs clear time boundaries, or else it'll just keep stretching everything out until suddenly you're stressed and out of time. And look, I get it. Some days are chaotic, but if you constantly feel like you don't have enough time, you don't need a fancy planner. You need to cut out the stuff that doesn't matter. Not everything is urgent. Not everything deserves your energy. And the more you simplify, the easier time management gets. Ask yourself, what's actually important today? What's just busy work that I think I need to do but actually doesn't move the needle? Cut the fluff. Prioritize the real stuff. Suddenly managing time feels easy. At the end of the day, time management isn't about filling every second with productivity. It's about doing the right things at the right time without stressing yourself out. So don't overcomplicate it. Manage your energy, not just your time. Start with small wins. Set clear time limits. And most importantly, be kind to yourself. You're not a robot. Some days will be productive, some days will be a mess, and that's okay. Now, if you found this helpful, drop a comment below and tell me your biggest struggle with time management. And if you're ready to finally stop procrastinating and take control of your time, hit that like button so the algorithm knows you mean business. All right, now go be productive. Or take a nap. Honestly, both are valid life choices.